So in our last segment, we talked about the invoice, and we talked about that discount period and the credit period and how they fit together into that timeline. We had briefly mentioned freight and the idea of FOB, or free on board. So let's add that into the mix now. So we are going to assume that unless otherwise stated, it's FOB shipping point. What that means is it is free to the shipper, free to the seller. So that is, freight is paid by the buyer. So let's take a look at a sample invoice here in a scenario. So we're going to take a date of August 7th, an amount, again we'll keep our amount simple for now, of $2,100. Our terms, we'll go 25, net 30. Now remember, we had mentioned that most cases the shipping company isn't going to ship the goods and then wait to get paid at the other end. They're going to want their payment before they load it in the truck. So the seller is going to have to prepay the freight and then be reimbursed by the buyer. So seller prepays $200 in freight. So now we want to look at how much is paid if the buyer pays on August 16th. So let's do our timeline here. So our timeline starts on the invoice date of August 7th. And after that date, there is a 2% period, 2% discount period that goes for 5 days. So that would bring us to August 12th, 5 days after the 7th. We did not pay within that period of time. So now we have to go to the credit period. Net 30 means that we have to be paid within 30 days. So 30 days from August 7th is going to bring us to September 6th. Now remember, if we're struggling with that, we can go to a table like this one, where we have the days of the year built, numbered out. August 7th, here's the 7th of August, is 219. 30 days from that is 249. So that's right there, that's September 6th. So that's where that September 6th comes from. And remember, this date was the end of the discount period. That August 12th will be the last day they could get that 2% discount. This is the end of the credit period. So it has to be paid on or before that date, otherwise they're going to get charged some sort of penalty. August 16th falls after the discount period, but well before the end of the credit period. So there's no penalties, but they do pay the full amount. So the amount paid is going to be the invoice amount plus freight. $2,100 for the invoice plus the $200 freight gives us a total paid of $2,300. And one more example. So if we have an invoice date of December 28th, an amount of, let's just make it a nice $850. Our terms, 110 net 30, and again our seller is going to prepay a portion of freight. So seller prepays $150 in freight. So the buyer is going to have to reimburse that $150. So our question here is how much would be paid if this is paid on January 4th. So we have to do it on our timeline. So this starts, invoice date, December 28th. That's where this all starts. We have a 10-day discount period because it's 110. It's only going to be a 1% discount because of the 1, but to get to that 10 days. Now what we have to do here, if I use my date chart, December 28th is day 362. Well, to get to the end of the year, 365 minus 362, that's only 3 days. So it takes 3 days to get to the end of the year. To get to the end of my 10 days, then there's 7 more days left. So this is January 7th, ends up being the end of that 10-day discount period. January 4th falls within that period. So they get that 1% discount. Now just for practice, let's calculate the end of the credit period out here. That would be 30 days past. Well, remember it was 3 days to get to the end of the year. So that means to get to 30, there's 30 minus 3, or 27 more days. So this would be January 27th would be the end of our credit period. So let's get back to calculating the amount paid. We paid during the discount period. We get a 1% discount. Here's where you have to be careful. 1% discount, remember we use the complement. 100%, which is the whole amount, that's the whole invoice in this case, minus 1% gives us 99%. So we're going to pay 99%. Common mistake that's made here is they add in the freight to the invoice, the $850 plus the $150 to $1,000. You cannot do that. That freight is an actual expense. It's not part of the invoice, so it's not subject to that discount. That is an expense that's being reimbursed. They're going to pay, the buyer has to pay the full $150 freight. The discount only applies to the invoiced amount. So we're going to take that $850 times 0.99 to get that discount, or to get the amount paid after discount, which is going to give us $841.50. To that, then, we're going to add that freight of $150, giving us a total of $991.50. So the key here is no discount on freight. They always pay the full freight. The discount only applies to the amount of the invoice. So that's how freight figures into this. The next step that we are going to take is to look at invoice date modifiers. In other words, things that will change the effective invoice date, therefore changing the dates on the discount and credit periods.